I call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. It's 6:33 p.m. and we're about to start the Ravenswood City School District Board of Trustees regular board meeting. Today's date is Thursday, August 25th, 2022. I will start with item number 1 on the agenda, call to order, roll call. So President Latu, let the record show she is not here right now. Vice President Shabomahim, that's me. I'm here. Trustee Alexander,
Here.
Trustee Polito,
Present.
Trustee Varghese Bloom.
Here.
Thank you. On to item number 2, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All of those in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. On to item number 3, we're going to move into closed session, but before we do we have any speakers? 4-0, excuse me, going back. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. It passed 4-0. Thank you. Please take note of that. So item number 3, we're moving into closed session. Do we have any speakers, Trustee Alexander, for items that we're going to speak about in closed session?
I see no one.
Okay, with that, we are moving into closed session. It is 6:34 p.m. Thank you. I now reconvene this meeting of the Ravenswood City School District Board of Trustees. It is 7:16 p.m. and we have returned from closed session. Welcome for those who are just joining us. We are on item number 4, the return to open session, and we'll move on to item number 5, a report of action taken in closed session. So for items 3A, 3B, 3C1, and 3C2, discussion was held and there was no action taken. Yep, sound good? Okay, we're moving on to item number 6, comments from the floor. Are there any speakers? Trustee Alexander?
No, there are not.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. No speakers. We're going to move on to item number 7, the consent agenda. Any discussion or anything need to be pulled? If not, I will take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you for that. All those in favor to approve the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, moving on to item number 8, the superintendent's report. Superintendent Sudaria.
Thank you. This evening, I simply would like to give an update on learning and development, health and safety, and leadership and community, highlighting specifically around leadership and community, our new teacher orientation, our welcome back event, back to school socials, and an opportunity that our executive team has with the University of Virginia. So with our new teacher orientation, we welcome new and returning members to our team this past Tuesday, last week. Several new teachers were actually members of Ravenswood and served in other capacities such as tinkers and instructors with agencies we partnered with in the past. We have about 24 new teachers who joined us this year. We shared with our team members the history and context of Ravenswood City School District, human resources related matters, and reviewed the teaching and learning resources that are online. Teams also reviewed or received their new technology devices and had ample time to go into their classrooms and get situated and familiar with their new school sites. And that was a collective effort with all of our departments to support our new teacher onboarding. We also, last Friday, welcomed all of our team members at Castagna School to rally around the 2022-23 school year. More importantly, we celebrated employees' dedication to our students, defined our theory of action, and how we all play a role to achieve our goal, our district goals. Titles, I want to specify that titles and positions were not highlighted in this case. Instead, everyone was discussing collectively how we can create an environment where we all have a leadership role in taking action to achieve our mission. And then you can see here in the photos across the board from our maintenance and operations and transportation teams being at the table with teachers across the way. And, you know, I want to emphasize the titles, the roles. There was no level of hierarchy. It was all of us understanding at every level we are responsible for meeting the needs of our children and our families. I think what made us successful yesterday for our first day of school was that prior to school, all of our schools created some form of an opportunity for our families to come on campus before the first day of school. So families, students, and team members could have time to meet each other before the big day. This was an opportunity to see former teachers and students to meet their former students. And they got to meet the new teachers and new students and be able to poke their heads into new classrooms and figure out where things were, collect their materials. The intent was to minimize any type of anxiety and worries and to make sure the first day of school was a success for everyone across the school community. So you can just see some photos here of the events that took place across our 4 schools. We're also excited to share, and I briefly mentioned to the board in the Friday memo, that Ravenswood City School District has been selected to participate in a summit to collaborate with the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business and School of Education and Human Development. We are just one of 8 districts to push the envelope in order to remove barriers, challenge the status quo, and influence the system in positive and meaningful ways. So our executive team is excited to be able to have this opportunity to build upon our current efforts and expand our possibilities to create realities that are transformative. This will take place October 3rd through 4th in Washington, D.C. And we will bring forward a formal proposal to the board for review and consideration. But I think this is just highlights the good work that's happening here and the transformative work. And we are on the verge of making significant changes in student achievement. In regards to learning and development, we'll be able to highlight some of the things here you see on the right: first day of school, transitional kindergarten, street data and community of practice, and data and assessment. So in regards to the first day of school, I think the executive team could share with you after the board meeting as well that it was one of the smoothest days that we have ever had. And I think too, it's credit to the school teams who made sure that there were opportunities on several occasions for families to come to the school sites. And as a result, families knew where to go, and those who had not had the opportunity to go before school, there were ample staff available to support them with that transition. We had our board president and the union presidents available, and everyone from central office also was assigned to a school site and reported out to the school sites. So it was all hands on deck to ensure that families felt welcome, students felt welcome, and school staff felt supported. I just want to emphasize that we have a transitional kindergarten class at every single elementary school. This is the first year that Los Robles Ronald McNair will be opening up their first TK class. Again, we are offering before there's different phases of when students turn 4, when they're eligible in certain districts. We decided that we wanted to make sure any child turning 4 before September 1st are eligible to participate in our TK program and can enroll. And we're doing this a couple years before. I think the deadline is 2025, 2026 is when the September 1st birthday is going to be required. And we're doing it now. We are working closely with the San Mateo County Office of Ed with the community of practice to focus on how to really shift the context of student assessment data to include street level data that helps articulate the strengths and assets that students bring to and benefit from in their learning. This is not eliminating the state tests. It's definitely emphasizing the need for us to really understand and reach and connect and look for other clues and evidence about the impact our teaching is having on students. In addition to us, we will present the street data now. As we learn more about this, we will also present to the board map level and satellite level data to the board. So speaking of which, the CAS data is here. We shared this, Sarah Stone has shared this with you, and this is a message from her in the board memo. And I just want to make sure the public is aware that we received our end of 2021-22 school year California assessment and student performance in progress, the CAS data. It includes the Smarter Balanced Summative Assessment, SBAC, and the California Science Test, CAST. We are currently reviewing this information, and we will be presenting the results at our first September board meeting, which is September 8th. We will, along with the results, be able to present our plans for progress monitoring, our student learning of content standards, as well as literacy levels throughout the school year. So this is an emphasis that we are going to be focusing on, hence the reorganization of our central office to be able to focus on the instruction and the analysis of our data. Very quickly here, I just want to give you a quick update. We mentioned this in our social media and communication with families that we have many supports. I wanted to highlight the mental health supports around Care Solace. So any staff member and family members, any families and any students, any student and student family members are eligible to access mental health, behavioral health, and substance use treatment options offered by Care Solace 24/7, 365 days out of the year. There's a website along with phone numbers. And I want to honestly share an experience where we have a range of community members who we serve in Ravenswood. From those who have high needs to those who have very little needs in this sense. But I was privileged to be able to share this information as we suffer the loss of a fellow colleague who I will be able to speak about shortly. But then also we are receiving a lot of families from countries that are torn by violence, cartels and what have you, and have seen horrific things happen right in front of them. And to be able to have this at our fingertips and have bilingual assistance as well in any type of language to be able to support a family who's seen such trauma. Ravenswood, in partnership with Care Solace and other mental health supports, are able to support our families through this transition, as well as welcoming them into our Ravenswood community. COVID-19 vaccine clinics, there are to offer this weekend on the 27th. And the 28th, I'm sorry, it should say the 28th in the second slide there. We have for the second section. And there's 2 locations there. And so we encourage everyone to continue to get vaccinated. And before I end my reports, I want to quickly just share that we have lost a dear colleague, a former colleague, Eric Edwards. He passed away on August 11th, and with almost 10 years of service, he served the Ravenswood City School District as a teacher at Willow, as well as most recently our day and assessment coordinator. So he worked with many of us, and again, we're fortunate to be able to offer support to friends and families who know Eric, where this loss was sudden. And there is an opportunity to share thoughts or gifts. We are, on behalf of the district, going to send flowers that will arrive tomorrow to the family. Will be greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Sadaria, for that report. Do we have any comments from any board trustees about anything?
Through the chair, I do, I want to say first, I'm really sad for the loss to the district. I remember Eric numerous times coming before the board and sharing data and walking us through all that. So I'm really sorry. And I'm glad we have Care Solace, not just for students. I'm sure it's available for our staff and our faculty as well to get help and support if needed. The other thing I'd like to say is that I'm really pleased with this report. When I hear students, instruction, support services, impact, and data, that's music to my ears. So I'm happy this is our focus and that we're moving forward in this direction. So thank you for that report.
Thank you, Trustee Polito. Trustee Alexander? Chair.
Again, I want to offer condolences to the family of Eric Edwards. He and I actually lived on the same street, and I worked with him over the years, and it was a very sudden loss. And secondly, I have a question. Now that school has started, what is the student teacher ratio in most of the classrooms right now?
I'm glad you asked. Actually, our team just met to review some of our classroom numbers. And right now, I think most of them are around 7 to 8 spaces overall per grade level, except we do have some pockets where there is some under enrollment. And we're discussing with principals who are affected the need to potentially consolidate.
So what is the ratio of students to teachers? Is it like 22 to 1 for primary and 28 or 25 for intermediate? Yeah.
That's about 22 district wide. Probably about 20 in the lower grades, and I think as high as 26 in the upper grades.
So if we were to potentially need to consolidate, what kind of impact is that? If we're already 28 to 1?
Most of the classrooms are the ratios there, but we do have a couple of grade levels at a school where the ratio is actually lower.
Right. But if you
So we would need to-
consolidate,
It just means combining classrooms.
Combining.
I understand that part, but I'm saying, I don't want these classes to go over the limit,
Correct.
is what I'm
Because they
saying.
won't.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
There
if we're
might
able to
be-
consolidate without impacting that ratio, then
Those numbers, I believe, actually reflected the ratios. I think the classes that were consolidated were in the like 8 students per teacher range. So they were much, much lower, much below sort of the target ratio we look for.
All right, thank you.
Through the chair. The-
yes, trustee Barkensbone.
The one question that I have is about the TK program. I know you said that it's September 4th. Any kid that's 4 by September 1st can enroll. I also want to just clarify or make clear that kids can still enroll even though school has started.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
we want
for the community to know that. So
Exactly.
any child that's 4 by September, right now,
Yes.
and by next Thursday, they can enroll in our TK classrooms.
In fact, any child can enroll in Ravenswood late, even if they have started attending another school and decide to change. Correct? We will welcome students at any time.
Thank you, trustee Alexander. Thank you. I also would like to share my condolences for Mr. Edwards and his family, the friends and associates, and just want to do a public thank you on behalf of the board for those many years of service to Ravenswood City School District. If there's any way that we as a board can honor that service, we would love to do so. We can find ways to do so. I'd love to discuss that. I'm speaking for myself. Obviously, I haven't spoken for everyone, but I'm sure we'd all like to participate in that conversation. Second, I just want to say welcome to everybody, all the new staff. I think you said there were 24 new folks. Welcome to Ravenswood, and congrats to a beautiful start of the school year. I'm sure it's going to be exciting and amazing. Please reach out to your board trustees. We'd love to build relationships with all of you and get to know you. So yeah, welcome. And with that, if there are no more comments from the board, we will move on to item number 9. Board policy and administrative regulation update.
Jennifer Gravin is going to present on this agenda item.
Good evening, Vice President Chabot Maheen, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Sadaria. I'm happy to present to you this evening on the Virtual Independent Studies Program and Board Policy. In 1 second. So for the second year in a row, there have been significant changes made to the Independent Studies program by the California Department of Education. Last year, the significant change was to open up virtual independent studies as an option for students that had not historically been the case, and independent studies had remained virtually the same for years prior until last year. Again, they made a significant change this year to make virtual independent studies optional. Last year, it was required for school districts to have virtual independent studies. This year, it is an option. There were a few different components that they did add to the board policy. Prior, special education wasn't illuminated specifically in the policy. Now it is illuminated specifically in the policy that you cannot exclude children with special needs from independent studies based on their disability, which is not something that we did, but that is added now specifically into the policy. There's also now tiered re-engagement requirements set forth for students to remain in virtual independent studies to ensure that students are on virtual independent studies, have opportunities to re-engage, and then if that doesn't work, they do have to come back in person. And then also there were some exemptions made to long-term traditional independent studies to extend the time. Prior, independent studies used to only be allowed for 10 days, and now they've increased the number of days for traditional independent studies that we are predominantly used to, which didn't involve synchronous and Zoom instruction, but was work sent home and then returned. Most of this is connected to if students have an illness and cannot get on the Zoom, this is an opportunity for them to continue their learning at a time when it makes sense for them. So what's the Ravenswood plan? So the trailer bill comes through in July, which is the middle of summer. So it's a hard time to make a huge shift for these families who thought there was going to be a program in the end of June. So what we did this summer is we called all 61 students who were in the program at the end of last year and said, do you want to continue in virtual independent studies, or would you like to return to school? 23 families wanted to continue in virtual independent studies. 34 families wanted to come back to in-person learning, and 4 of those families have moved out of the area. So here's the breakdown of students who are in virtual independent studies currently, because we only invited the students who were already in the program to continue on to look at phasing it out so that it's not an option next year. So right now we have 23 students in the program. You can see 9 from Belhaven, 5 from CCRMS, 9 from Castaño, and that first school, that's Los Robles. Sorry that the name isn't at the top. And you can see the breakdown by grade as well. The largest grade in independent studies is 5th grade. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what re-engagement plans look like. So the first marker, as based on the board policy, is that if students aren't generating at least 10% of attendance in 4 weeks, that is a time for a required re-engagement meeting. That's a very low bar. We would meet prior to that. Generating attendance means either they were synchronous, or they attended synchronously, or they completed work. The second requirement is that students must be in attendance for at least 50% of the time synchronously. For TK through 3, it's 1 hour of daily instruction as well as asynchronous work. And for 4th through 8th grade, it's 30-minute daily check-in meeting and 1 hour of weekly instruction. And those requirements remained the same as last year. And then we also do have written agreements for all of the families that are currently in virtual independent studies. So should students not meet the guidelines, we'll have a re-engagement meeting, offer support. What can we do? Do you need connectivity help? Is there a problem with your computer? Are you struggling with the time of the day? And try to help support. Then we'll have another meeting. And if we can't help the students successful in the virtual program, we'll invite them to come back to in-person learning. So our plan is for virtual independent studies to continue for the students who were in the program last year, and that new students wouldn't be added to the program, and it would be a year of phase out. And that is, as with all things these days, unless something happens to make a huge change to rock our world. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Can I ask a question? Do you know why the change was made to the policy?
I don't know specifically why, but my best guess is that they're trying to balance between schools saying it's so much better for the kids to be in person, and parents saying, but I'm really nervous about COVID. And so our kind of compromise there is to continue for families who were already in the program. So we're not making a drastic change, and then allowing them to have that shift. And it even happened already. I had 3 families. I had to change my numbers for my slide. 3 families on the first day of school came in the first day, and they said, no, we want to come back.
Yeah.
And so people are just starting to feel more and more safe and more comfortable. So I suspect that that's why they allowed that option in there for school districts to decide what was best for their community.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I have a comment and a question. My first comment is I'm happy to hear one of the initial thoughts that came to mind with allowing students to continue was, are we evaluating how they're doing and engaging them and checking in with them when they're falling behind, because that might not be the best model for them. So I was really happy to hear that. And then my question is, and you may have said it, I just didn't catch it. So it'll be this 1 year to phase out the program.
Yeah.
And then everyone by the following school year will be and be integrated fully back into in-person.
This allows us to give them a year of notice to either get comfortable with coming back in person or look for other options, because we do understand that families have to make the best choice for families. We want them all here, and then we want them to stay here. But I do understand that
Yeah.
because if not, we had to wait till the trailer bill dropped in July to know what they were going to do.
Yeah, I guess the part I got a little bit confused on is I didn't understand it was just for the first semester or the full year, but it sounds like the full year.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. That's all for me.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I just have a clarification question. So with this, I know we're saying that no students can be added to this program. Is that allowed with or is that something that we have decided?
Yes, it is
So
allowed.
It is allowed with the new bill.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is, just to continue to ask, like, are we in these check-ins, are we going to also ask them, would they like to return to in person?
I ask them like every 5 minutes.
Okay, that's making sure.
And I say, the law says we have to get kids back within 5 days, but we can catch you back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely really want all of our kiddos back in person. And I did have a family who was kind of on the edge after the first day. They hadn't had a chance to meet with me. And I said, I went to Bellhaven. I saw the classrooms. It does look wonderful. And this is what I saw in the classrooms. And they changed their mind and decided to come in person.
Okay. Okay, great. And then I guess also going off of that, I wonder if there's a way that we can get families to come engage on campus, even if they are virtual. Like, can we invite them to come to family nights or invite them to come to some of these things so that they feel like just, being able to go to the campus before school started made such a big difference for all families
Yeah.
and parents. So is there a way that we can also include that somehow? And even if it's not with the whole school, like, hey, the virtual students are getting together for pizza outside at 6:00. I don't know. Like, I just feel like there's a way that once you're on campus, you as a student might even
Yeah.
start talking to your parents like, hey, I really do want to go back. So
That's a great idea. I think there's some ideas in there that I can look into, but the students do remain as active students in their home campus. So just because they're in virtual independent studies, they have a seat at Bellhaven or a seat at Castano or a seat at CCRMS waiting for them. And so they get all the parent square messages about all the different nights. And so they are invited, but I do like the idea of like, hey, do you want to come down? Do you want to look at the campus? If you're wondering whether you want to come back in person, can I meet you there and tour you? Virtual teachers are really hard to find also. And so our teachers are not in the area, so they wouldn't be able to meet them
yeah.
at the school campuses. They're quite far away.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Voorhees Bloom. Any other comments or questions for Ms. Graham? If not, thank you so much for that presentation. Okay, moving on to item number 10, board reports and communication. Anybody got any?
Through the chair, I'll start. Kids started back. It was great. Both my kids are at Los Robles on the same campus. It was so great to pull up and not see a line of traffic on Fulgus to go to any campus. So that was really, really great. And I also was really excited to see our district team members out there in front of the school with signs waving. So I just really think that was such a great welcome. And I really did enjoy going to the preschool start. I don't know what we called it. Sorry, the preschool start, like before school started events. I think that really helped families get to see each other and also get to meet their teachers. So thank you so much for the teams all across from top to bottom that put that together and made it happen. I really think it helped our kids feel just comfortable and ready to start. So thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I talked with quite a few Ravenswood staff members after the first day of school personally, and was told by the teachers and principals that they had a really good first day. And it was so joyful to hear that. My Ravenswood heart sang, knowing that everybody, the ones that I talked to had a good first day. And then secondly, I believe this Saturday is movie night on the Bellhaven field. So I'm not sure or a concert on the Bellhaven field. That's what it is this Saturday night. That's it.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I would just like to welcome everyone back. Our students, our parents, our teachers and our staff. We're gonna make this an awesome year. Exciting things are to come. So I just wanted to say welcome back to everyone. And I also wanted to state that my phone is not available to me right now, my phone line. And so the reason why I'm saying it publicly is because I don't want my beloved community to think I'm ignoring text messages or calls. My phone broke. I'm getting a replacement phone. So if you haven't heard back from me next week, I'll be back online. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have no comments for now. And so we'll move on to item number 11, consideration to approve resolution number 2022-2023-2, board member excused absences. As we know, President Latu is not today. She let us know she would not be able to attend to another engagement. So I will pass it to you. Or shall we, I'll take a motion to approve this resolution first, and then I'll pass it to Trustee Alexander.
I vote to approve item 11, consideration to approve the resolution for absence.
I second it.
Thank you.
Whereas the Education Code 35120A5 authorizes board members to be absent. Resolution number 2022/2023/2.
Okay, and all those in favor of approving this resolution for President Latu, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. And so on to item number 12. We're there. We did it. The next regular board meeting will be held on September 8th, 2022 at 6:30 with open session starting at 7:15 p.m. And with that, it is 7:48 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.